What's going on, everyone? Jimmy Garoppolo. He seems to be the odd man out with the San Francisco 49ers and is looking for a trade. The 49ers want to trade him. Obviously, they're being patient. They're not in a hurry or a rush to trade Jimmy G. Jimmy G is a very serviceable quarterback. He's a guy that, can fit in pretty much any system. He's a guy that can be consistent. Of course, there's always questions with him. He's not an elite quarterback by any means, but he is solid enough and proven enough that with the right assets around him, you can get, 9 to 10 games year in and year out, and he would be perfect in the right situation and on the right team. He's still young enough to where if you traded for him, you could keep him for, another several years, or be a guy that you have for a couple seasons, and then as you're developing a younger guy, can kind of step in and take the role. Jimmy G is not a bad player, a bad quarterback by any means. And it looks like the Cleveland Browns may be in the conversation for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, of course, many of you may be aware of Deshaun Watson and all of just the horrendous stuff that he did. YouTube, I can't really go too much into it, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Deshaun Watson. You'll see all of the information and details. Well, he was suspended by the league for 6 games, but the NFL wants to give him a further punishment, and he may be suspended for at least a full year if everything goes through. So if he is suspended for at least a year, if not longer, then the Cleveland Browns need a quarterback to step in. Baker Mayfield was traded to the Panthers, so now they need somebody that can kind of play that role for them. Now they do have Brissett, I believe, is their backup quarterback that could step in, but is he really a starting guy? Is he a guy that you can count on to go and win you games? Where a guy like Jimmy G, he's proven. Jimmy G is a guy that would fit well with the Browns. He would have the weaponry, he'd have the defense, he'd have a little bit of everything to just keep them afloat, whether it's for a year or, maybe a little less most of the season. And he's an asset that they could always still flip, right? There's a team that may want him. And let's say even Deshaun Watson, let's say they up it to 8 games or 10 games. Well, even then, do you really want to bring Deshaun Watson in the last, handful of games of the season? Maybe you can. And if you do, well, then maybe there's a team that's desperate enough to trade for Jimmy G. Quarterback goes down, somebody gets hurt, a team isn't very happy with their quarterback, but they're kind of on the cusp of maybe making it into the playoffs. So maybe they're willing to take a chance. Maybe Jimmy G could, help us go 3-5 in the next 8 games, and we could make the playoffs or something, or 3-2 in the next 5 games, whatever. It's always a possibility, especially in the NFL, especially the way injuries happen, stuff like that. So he will always be an asset that you could easily flip. It's not going to cost much. You're looking at maybe a 4th to 6th round pick somewhere along there to go get Jimmy G. So if you could get something like that, you can get a good deal, get Jimmy G. He runs it for you. You're probably still making the playoffs. He's, in my opinion, on par with Baker Mayfield. He might even be a little better. Baker Mayfield has shown those moments of just brilliance, but he has his inconsistencies and his issues as well. Again, Jimmy G has a lot of the same too, but some of the stuff I don't really fault him. A lot of people like to hold what happened in the season last year in the playoffs to him. He was just trying to make something. He was trying to put a miracle. The game was over. You close your eyes, you throw it up, and you hope maybe something happens. That's all that was. He's a guy that can be consistent for you night in and night out. You know what you're going to get. You know what he's going to deliver. He's done it for the 49ers for years now, and they have been a model of consistency. Now, of course, could that go into Kyle Shanahan just being that offensive guru? That team is kind of built for Jimmy Garoppolo, so that might help a little bit. But the Browns, I don't think, are too far off. If you look at comparisons, if you could figure out a deal to get Jimmy Garoppolo, I think it's a good move if you're the Cleveland Browns. I think, especially if Deshaun Watson is suspended for at least a year, you want to remain competitive, and he's still going to have value next year. And who knows if it's a, indefinite suspension to where you have no idea if it's going to be a year or it's going to be 5. You got to get somebody, right, to hold down the fort while Deshaun Watson's out. So this is just something that I think is interesting, and I think it could be beneficial for Jimmy G. It'd kind of give him a new space. Maybe he can kind of deliver more. They do still have a lot of offensive weapons, especially running backs and stuff. He's probably not going to be asked to do too much, nothing too crazy. And I think that he's a guy that's proven. He was a play away essentially from being in the Super Bowl again. So it makes sense that the Browns would look at him, especially with the Deshaun Watson situation that's going on. They need a starting caliber quarterback. They need somebody that can at least keep them afloat. Even if, now the whole trade idea is based on if Deshaun Watson's suspension is extended. But I think depending on what the deal is, like depending on what you have to give up, it might not be bad to get Jimmy G. Because you still don't know what Deshaun Watson hasn't played in quite some time, right? And if Jimmy G isn't like, I need to be a starter, like, he's not being a prima donna or diva, which doesn't look like he is, at least with the 49ers. So if let's say bare minimum, it is 6 games, wouldn't it be beneficial to go get Jimmy G, see what happens for a handful of games, and then Deshaun Watson comes in, you kind of let him get some burn. Let's say he starts 0-3 in his first 3 games. If you're the Browns, you might be like, well, at least we got Jimmy. I don't know. It might not be a bad situation to just trade for him regardless, because he's still an asset that you could use to flip. If you could get if you could trade like a 4th round pick, you could probably still get a 4th round pick from another team next season. You don't know what the situation's going to be. If say Daniel Jones has another bad year and underperforms, maybe the Giants are like, hey, we'll take Jimmy G. We'll give you a 4th for him. Then worst case break even, but at least you have that quality guy for 6 games or maybe even longer that you could get. So I don't think, what is the alternative? You're running with your backup. Okay, so what's your hope? That you go maybe 3-3 while he's suspended? Where I think Jimmy Garoppolo, you have the potential to go, 5-1 or 4-2, something like that. And he's a guy he's good enough and he's not too demanding, I guess, he could fit in, I think, pretty much anywhere as that solid quarterback. And I know many people don't think that he's a starting guy, that he's a super backup, he's the guy you want as your number 1 backup and your team is a super team. But I do think he has a lot in the tank. I do think he is serviceable enough in the right situation with the right assets, the right offensive scheme, stuff like that. I mean, he's gone to a Super Bowl. He's been a model of consistency the last several years with the 49ers. I don't think he's that bad. Again, he's not elite. He's not a guy that's single-handedly gonna lead you to a Super Bowl or anything. He needs the right core around him, but he's good enough in my opinion, he's better than a lot of the starting quarterbacks in the league currently. Even guys like Mitch Trubisky. I would rather have Garoppolo personally over him, but some other people feel otherwise. So that's why, as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about Jimmy Garoppolo potentially going to the Cleveland Browns? Do you think it makes sense? Yeah, if Deshaun Watson gets suspended for a year or longer, go get Jimmy G. He's a guy that can at least keep you relevant while he's out. Do you think that they should get him regardless? If the asking price isn't too much, if you could trade, a 4th to 6th round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo, even for those 6 games, it'd be hugely beneficial. If he could go, my thinking is look, if you trade a 4th round pick for Jimmy G and Jimmy G goes say 5-1, that was a huge successful trade. And you have him to fall back on if Deshaun Watson doesn't work. Because again, who knows what Deshaun Watson we're going to get? Who knows how good he's going to be? He hasn't had an actual game he's played in quite some time. It's been over 2 years now. I know he's supposed to play a preseason game tomorrow, but preseason, again, is not the same thing as a regular season game and just a full regular season. So if he's looking kind of shaky and he's looking he's a big issue that needs to kind of get back into the swing of things, I think Jimmy Garoppolo might be a blessing in disguise if you're the Cleveland Browns. But again, those are my thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear yours, however you feel about it, down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.